Hi there and welcome to my tutorial on how to do a proper preparation for a fleet save in Ogame. So right off the bat I'm going to sleep in 2 hours. So what do I have to do in the meantime? That's what we are here for. On my left hand I've got a calculator per planet which will contain the amount of capacity that my fleet has got on each of these planets. On my right hand side these three calculators are for metal, crystal and deuterium, all written in thousands to make the calculations run more smoothly. Alright, let's look at it. To make sure I've got enough fleet to save all of my resources, I have to look at my planet and see how much do I produce and how much do I have currently on the planet. So I go to resource settings here, scroll a little bit down, and I'm going to forget everything else, look at the per hour production. Here for the metal, here for the crystal, here for the dote. Going to these three calculators, metal, crystal and dote. First off, per hour, we produce 146,000 metal. We are producing in 2 hours before bed, times it with 2. On the crystal hand side, we've got 56 per hour, times 2. On the dote side, it's 27 per hour, times 2. Adding in the amount of resources that we've got on the planet already, 6872 metal, 2981 crystal, adding that in, and adding the 3449 dote, right there. These are our final amount of resources unless we've got anything coming to the planet. This planet, Miscalculations, is the one that we're calculating right now, and as you see here, we've got a deployment with 450,000 crystal coming to the planet, so we will add those resources to the crystal side. Alright, good. So before going to bed I'm going to upgrade my crystal mine to level 26, so the cost of that mine, the resources, we have to subtract from our calculation. 6084 metal we will subtract here, and 3042 crystal we will subtract here, and these are our final amount of resources. So now we will go to the fleet department and watch the capacity number right here and see do we have a capacity enough for these resources up here, and we'll add that to this calculator for the first planet. So we put in 6497, it's all in thousands, and remember we've got a deployment coming which contains 18 large transporters, which will be able to carry 450,000 resources as well. And to make sure we have enough fleet, we subtract the amount of resources that we calculated to make sure we've got sufficient fleet. So we subtract 1080, subtract 401, and subtract 3503. Alright, these are the three number of resources, and that means we've got 1.8 million resources or surplus of capacity, I should say instead, when we're done and going to bed. That was planet number 1. Next planet, called Swags, will do the same. Resource settings, go down and watch what we produce each hour and add them, put them into the calculators. Reset first, 166 times 2 hours, 49 times 2 hours, and 24, should I say, 2 hours. Adding in the current amount of resources, 361, 113, and 193 dote here. Right. Do we have anything in plan or in fleet or anything going to Swags? No. Nothing over here says Swags. Nothing is coming, or nothing is returning to the planet as well. So these are what we're going to, these are the amount of resources we're going to have in the end. We're not building anything because we have a 9-eyed factory already going on. So let's look at the fleet. Do we have sufficient fleet? The capacity says 1447, so we'll put that into the next calculator, and of course subtract the amount of resources to see if we've got a surplus. In the end we will be able to carry an extra 300,000 resources should they pop up. Clone Hero, third planet, go to the resource settings, watch the per hour made resources, reset the calculators, put in the metal, 146 times 2, the crystal, 49 times 2, the dote, 23 times 2, yes, you know it. Adding in the amount of resources we've got, crystal, 354, oh, metal, of course, was 3454, and the crystal is 108, and the deuterium is 320. Alright, is anything unterwegs? Is anything on the way to Clone Hero? No, seems not, and we've already got a crystal mine going, so that's the amount of resources we have to carry when going to sleep. Is the capacity sufficient? 3582. We'll put that in and subtract the resources, 646, 206, and 366. So we've got 2.3 million surplus of capacity. Perfect. Fourth planet is Fort Knox. Resource settings right here. Reset calculators. And put in 146 times 2 for the metal. Put in 49 times 2 for the crystal. And put in 23 times 2. In this case 2, because I'm going to bed in 2 hours. For the deuterium. Add in the amount of resources. 3590. Crystal 415. And dote 311. Yes, you know it. Is anything arriving at Fort Knox before bed? Oh yes, there is. A large shipment with 200,000 metal and 1.5 million crystal. 200,000 metal adding in, and 1.5 million crystal being added in, because we're going to build something on this planet before going to bed, and that's another crystal mine. Crystal mine level 26 will cost 3.8 million crystal and 1.9 million 3.8 million metal. I do not know why I want to call this metal crystal, but it isn't, unfortunately. So we'll subtract the costs, 3802 metal, and subtract 1901 crystal. These are the remaining resources when everything is over and done. Is our fleet sufficient? 1682. Add that to a new calculator. 1682. And add, of course, the deployment fleet, because the deployment fleet contains, in this case, 68 large transporters, which is 1.7 million resources, which is very important. So we will have to add those two in and subtract the resources here. 280, 112, and 357. That means in the end we should be able to carry a surplus of 2.6 million resources. Perfect. Next planet, called PPPP. Go through the resource settings and watch these three numbers. Going to bed in 2 hours, we will have to add them or multiply them by 2. Metal, 146 times 2. Crystal, 49 times 2. And deuterium, 22 times 2. Add in the current resources, 4084. 4084. Crystal, 837. And deuterium, 280. Right there. Alright. Have we got any fleet coming to PPPP? Yes, we do. And that fleet contains 1,050,000 crystal, which we will add in here. No. Not the last 3 digits. Very important. We are multiplying or dividing by 1,000 here. Alright. And on PPPP, I'm going to build before going to another crystal mine, which will subtract our final amount of resources by 3802 metal and subtract 1901 crystal. That's the amount of resources. Can our fleet handle it? Let's have a look. Capacity 3457, and of course adding the fleet coming into the planet. 42 large transporters should be 1,050,000. adding those in, and subtracting 574 for the metal, subtracting 84 for the crystal, and subtracting 324 for the dote. Which means, in the end, I should be able to carry surplus 3.5 million resources. Perfect. Next to last planet, called Galuxus. Right here, go to the resource settings. Per hour produced. Resetting the calculators. Starting with the metal, 146 times 2. Crystal, 49 times 2. And the dote, 26 times 2. Yes, sir. Add in your amount of resources currently being on the planet. 4401, 590, and 390 deuterium. Oh yeah, thank you. Is any fleet going to Galuxus right now? Oh yes, there is. Something is coming, and that's 1.350 crystal. 1350 crystal. Because we're going to build a building with these resources before going to bed. And that's another crystal mine, level 25. So we subtract the cost, subtracting the metal, and subtracting the crystal, you know it. Going to the fleet department, looking at the capacity, 5745. Put it into a new calculator. And of course, adding the amount of fleet, or the amount of ships coming to Galuxus, which is 54 large transporters. Quick maths will tell you that 54 is 1,300,000 50. 1350, exactly the same amount. Let's go into the planet. Add 1350. 7 million is our capacity. Subtracting the metal, subtracting the crystal, and subtracting the deuterium makes a surplus of 5.6 million resources. And in the end, Pendulum will show us what we've got, or what he's got. Looking at the hourly production, resetting the calculators, doing the same thing all over again. 146 times 2, 49 times 2, and 27 times 2. Yes, you know it. Whoop. Delete. 27 times 2. Yes, thank you. Adding in the current amount of resources, 3760. Crystal, 398. And dote, 308. Yes, sir. That's just perfect. Is anything going to Pendulum at these hours? Yes, there is. 1.5 million crystal. So we will add that to the crystal calculation right here. Well, right now we have a nanite factory going on. But before going to bed, I will have to add to the queue a level 25 crystal mine. So I subtract the crystal mine cost from the calculations. In crystal, that would cost me 3802. In metal, that would cost me 3802, and in crystal that would cost me 1901. So these are our final amount of resources that we can take away from the planet and leave enough for this next building to be built. All right. Is our fleet capable of carrying that much resources? 3645, last planet, last calculator. 3645, adding in the amount of the amount of ships coming to the planet. 60 large transporters makes 1.5 million resources, which means we have a capacity of 5.1 million. And subtracting 250, subtracting 95, and subtracting 362. This means that I have a surplus capacity of 4.4 million resources. And that's basically the idea. What I have not shown you today, because I had a sufficient fleet on all the planets, is, let's say for instance, planet number 2, which was this calculator, ended up having a minus 298 in your calculation. You would think, oh no, I'm going to leave almost 300,000 resources on the planet after I fleet save and go to bed. And that's a bad thing, because that means you have to purchase more defense to make your planet not so interesting for the raiders. So the reason it's a good idea to be 2 hours ahead before bedtime is, oh, 300,000. I have so much surplus capacity on my first planet that I can take these, was it 300? These 300,000 and subtract the 300,000 and add them to this planet, adding the 300, and everything is still positive, no negative numbers or digits. But that of course means that you will in Ogame flee or send a empty transporters or any kind of ship. That means that 300,000 resources of capacity goes from planet 1 to planet 2. Should make sense, everything. Another video could contain different ways of fleet saving. In this case, I've got 0 moons, shizzle, so I have to build up a lot of defense. But that's not for this video. This contains the preparation, and this is one way to do it. I like it this way, using my resources as well as I can, and having a safe night, safe sleep. See you. Thank you for watching.